Good morning. Welcome back to Ecocentric. On two separate days, I harvested all the tomatoes here by the house for the first day. And almost 2 weeks later, I harvested here by the fence. Monday, October the 2nd, and I've got a pile of tomatoes that are getting well along in its ripeness. And in the forecast, there's a pile of rain creeping in on us. So I'm going to take in what is starting to turn as they're turning. Take them in variety by variety so that I can keep them separate. I thought I recorded me picking the tomatoes by the house, but I can't find the footage now, so I guess I'll just have to show you the end result of what I've gotten here by the house. These are what I got from the Berkeley tie-dye. This is the big bread mixing bowl that I use, and another smaller one. Now, when I started to pick them, what I noticed was that as soon as they start to ripen up, there was slugs that started to make holes in them. I got 11.3 kilograms out of 10 plants, and I did harvest a few earlier. I don't know how much that came to, but we'll say about 11.5 kilograms. They are very variable, and they're given, I think this was one of those multi-blossom ones again. But if you were to take several different tomatoes, you notice that they're all different sizes and shapes. So if you were going to do something like market gardening or something where you wanted a uniform tomato that looked perfect, this wouldn't be the way to go. Now, they are a nice looking tomato with their malted coloring, and I have one here, because that one won't do where it's a multi-blossom one. I think it's over in this bowl. You see the slugs have eaten several holes in this one, so I'm going to have to cut this one and do something with it right away anyway. I'm going to cut this in half, and you see it's a fairly meaty tomato. There's not a lot of gel in it. So if you want a tomato that a lot of them gets to slicer size and a meaty tomato, then tie-dye is the one to go for. It's, like I say, a beautiful tomato, and if you get a nice form one like this, once this ripens up, it'll be a thing of beauty, right? The drawbacks are its propensity for multiple blossoms fusing. I've had like 4 or something of those. It's very variable in the shape of the tomato. And as for the slugs eating them, I don't think that's this variety. I've had it pretty much throughout. If you can keep the area around the tomato dry, like you're growing it up a trellis and keeping everything dry all around, possibly you can avoid that. We've been having terrible problems with slugs this year anyway. So the only drawback is that they are not uniform and they are prone to the multiple fused blossoms tomatoes. There was another thing I was wanting to say about the Berkeley tie-dye, and you can see on this one, you see how much cracking is on it. So when they start to ripen up, if you're getting variable moisture, then they're really prone to cracking. This one, while still quite green, does have some cracking here as well, you see. So Berkeley tie-dye, yeah, you gotta keep that moisture pretty even, or else that's what you're going to end up with. This is the Beaver Lodge slicer. I got 4.331 kilograms out of 3 plants, I think it was. It might have been 4, I can't remember. If it's 3 plants, they did better than the Berkeley tie-dyes 1.2 kilograms per plant. This would be more like 1.5 kilograms per plant. If it's 4 kilograms, then it would do about the same as Berkeley tie-dye. They are a really uniform tomato. Get the occasional one, but for the most part they've all got the same shape. And if they all come to full size, then you'll have a uniform size. But of course variable weather and that kind of stuff will give you variable sizes in your tomatoes, and you just have to grade them by size. These, I did get a couple with a hole in them. There's a hole right there. But for the most part, they were much less, the slugs bothered these much less than the Berkeley tie-dye. I don't have ripe ones for all of the varieties, I don't think, but I've got one for this one as well, fairly ripe. And when it ripens up, it'll give you just a uniform orange color. I've already cut this one open. And you see, that's what it's like on the inside. There's a lot more gel in these than in the Berkeley tie-dye. If you were looking for a plant to sell it, like say at farmer's market or something, I think this would be a good variety for a heirloom tomato. Or if you just wanted a tomato that would give you a smooth, uniform looking tomato. And it's about slicer size, so it'd be good for tomato sandwiches and the like. I forgot that I had some Beaver Lodge slicer ripening up here on the table, and that's what the color is like when they're fully ripe, almost red color. These are speckled Roman, 2.75 kilograms out of 3 plants. So almost a kilogram per plant. Once again, I did lose some to slugs altogether, and this one's got a hole in it. They are fairly uniform in shape, and they'll have a kind of mottled look, I think, when they're ripened up, hence the name speckled. I don't have any ripe ones. Let's see, for the sake of the video, I want to cut one open and show you basically what it's like inside. And since this one has got that hole there, Of course, it's not fully ripe, but it doesn't look like it's going to have a whole lot of gel in it when it does get ripe. Hopefully I'll be able to let you know when one ripens up and if it's different. You'll see, but I think this is supposed to be one of those paste tomatoes. So if it is a paste tomato and like I say, it doesn't have much more gel than what it's showing up there, then I'll be very happy with almost 1 kilogram per plant. Early Siberian. They are a smaller tomato. That's basically the size they come. Now when I was picking, I picked the little tiny ones now due to the fact that, well, there's a lot of rain coming, but also the slug damage, and these were planted right beside, well, the wasps made a nest right beside where these were planted, and they're kind of more aggressive this time of year. So I just tore the plant out, the roots and all, and I picked all the tomatoes off them. And I have a spicy green tomato pickles recipe. That all these little tiny ones, that's what I'm going to make with them, because they're not going to ripen up. But I mean, this will ripen up, and I'm assuming that these will too. See, they're starting to change color. They are fairly uniform in shape, and if they get to grow full size, they will be fully uniform in size. It's all different sizes here just because they were pollinated at different times, right? So if you have a longer season and all of these could have gotten to go their full length of time, then they would have all come up to about this size. I had one ripening out on the table, and so I can cut this one open and show you what it's like inside. Yeah, I just got to make something. See, there's a lot of gel in these, see? So this would be a really juicy tomato, but tasty if you like juicy tomatoes. Then if you like a smaller, well, I guess that might be what they call a plum size juicy tomato, then this is a good variety to go for. David Davison's performed the worst. 670 grams. That's all I got. This is a nice looking tomato if you had the conditions for them to grow perfect. But in the conditions that I had, I got very few, as you can see. And you see this one? Split all the way around. As well as this one. And I've got a very funny looking one here. Then I've got a few tiny ones that, like I was saying, I had to use in the spicy pickles recipe. Sunrise Bumblebee. 2 plants. Now you wouldn't expect to get much in the way of weight size out of these anyway, because that's about as big as you're going to get from Sunrise Bumblebee. Nice and uniform though, eh? Like every one of them looks pretty much the same. Once again, the different sizes is just because, and there's one it's still fairly hard, but it's getting ripe, you see. That's why it's called Sunrise Bumblebee. Different sizes just because the flowers came out at different times, that's all. And they're not full grown. But yeah, that's what you could expect from some Sunrise Bumblebee. You'll get the same mottled look, but it's a yellow rather than the red of Berkeley tie-dye. and speckled Roman. Brandywine. These are the ones that are reported to have the true tomato taste. Now, I'm not one to be able to distinguish between a true tomato taste and any other tomato taste. But I did buy them mainly for that reason. I wanted to see what they taste like. When they grow well, that's basically what you get with the Brandywine. I've seen quite a few pictures of them. There's 5 kilograms here. And you'll get variable shapes, but that's basically what you got. Now, I do have some here that's not quite right, you see? This is one here with the on the blossom end. It's kind of strange. Same with this one, you get some kind of strange dried skin look, and I don't know if that will invite rot or not. Right here, this is not cracking, this is the same dried up look that you get down here. So I don't know what that is. This one, they were out close to the end, so maybe at one point it got a little too dry. Anyway, it did crack. And I've got the skin is, see that there's no skin, that's the inside of the tomato. So I'm having some variations in the tomato that as they grew, that would be a split and dried. And why that is split like that, I don't know. A little bit of blossom end rot on that one. And for the most part, yeah, that's what I got. I got a couple that's looking strange, but they're mostly fairly good. I forgot to mention, 5 kilograms from 2 plants. That makes Brandywine by weight the best producer. Not 2 plants, 3 plants. Because that would give it 1.66, so it's a little over 5 actually, so 1.67 kilograms per plant. That is the best of all the plants, so I guess Brandywine is going on the list to be planted next year too. It's October the 12th now. They called off the rain, the big pile of rain, for the short term after when I done the rest of the tomatoes there by the south wall. And so I didn't harvest these at the time. They were all pretty much totally green. But now a good lot of them are noticeably lightening up and starting to turn. Starting tomorrow, midday tomorrow, they have forecast for rain to start and continue all day through the day on Saturday, and we get about 30 millimeters of rain. I was out on my walkabout this morning and I found this. So now that's quite the split now, isn't it? Not only that, there's another one here. I don't think I'm going to find very many split ones, but I did show you those 2. Tuesday is forecast for a, well, after the rain, it's forecast for a temperature drop. And when I get a 4-degree night, Tuesday night they got forecast for 2 degrees, which means it's highly likely that there's going to be a significant frost here. So, this is the day that I'm going to take in all the rest of the tomatoes. And a great deal of these I'm expecting to ripen up just packed inside. And I want to start on this end because it's easier to go in from this side, I think. But you remember with the carrot harvest, I pulled up that one tomato vine and that had roots all the way along. Well, this tomato vine here actually starts back there. So let's see what we got. There's a short set of roots right there. But not as much as what I expected. Breaking up the plant, but that's okay. I'm taking it out of it here now, so. Okay, here's the root of the plant, right here. That's where it was planted. So let's take this one plant back now. Drag it back there. Okay, I'm fairly certain that's the entire plant. Gotta have my seat, you know. Let's see what we're gonna get off this plant. That's an awfully hard tomato there, but he is a little bit light on the bottom. Guess we'll find out if it ripens or not. Not as productive as the other plants over by the house. Now, it wouldn't have been as warm down by the fence as it is against the house, and they might have gotten less water, but they were later, as you know, so if they had more time in the warm weather, who knows. But for right now, that first one this is what we got. Got those put in there, and that's the plan. Now, take up the next one, sit here and pick the tomatoes off them, go back for the next one, and so on. If I can reach in there without breaking it too badly and get the portion where I planted it, then I should be able to get the entire plant up easy enough and drag it up there. There's a cucumber there. Feels like it's still good. One fused one. See, they still had a lot of flowers on them. I'm thinking that this variety, like I said, it was a packet that just said bush beefsteak. The days to maturity is too long for my growing season to grow these outside. They were in late, but still these are pretty green and we're late into the fall now. So I think even last year, I might have gotten some ripe last year if I had set this variety. So no, I don't think I'm going to bother with trying this one again. I'm not seeing any special features whereby I would really want to have them. This is a volunteer. It was growing right out beside the board. That's from the second plant. I'll put those back in the bucket. Like I say, this is a volunteer one. I have no idea what that is. It's a smaller type tomato because they're getting pretty light. And you get this kind of a truss similar to what cherry tomatoes are normally growing like. Maybe. If I show you this one up close, would somebody be able to tell me what the variety is? Another split one. Now, this is one with one of the big ones on it. Let's lay them out on the ground and see what we got. I think there's 2 or 3 tomato plants there like that, but this is one of the better producing ones. I don't know, maybe that's the full size of the tomatoes that they're supposed to produce. That plant, not a big plant, but that's what I got from it anyway. So it produced very well. Now I'm done with that plant. That was a smaller plant. Over there. There's some big ones there. Look at the size of that one. I hope that ripens up. Now this plant, if you remember when I showed you when the first tomatoes I noticed came out, was on this plant. Okay, so I don't know why they grew better over on that end. Maybe that area retained water better because this side is built up further. Now, unfortunately, this massive one got poked with sow bugs by the looks of it, and he's starting to rot. I don't know if I'll get anything good out of it, but it was also starting to ripen up. It's actually got pink on the bottom. Now I'm starting to think I wish I did know whether that was the variety or not, bush beefsteak. Imagine growing this in a greenhouse, getting all of those huge tomatoes. And some with, that was probably a slug. So I have to cut off the bad part and just process this right away for some kind of a green tomato recipe. It has 2 bits of damage, so I'm going to have to cut pieces out here, but for the most part, it's ripe. Now I'm going to attempt to round that up. See if I can get all of the tomatoes in that bucket. But I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. I did it. Now, let's see if I can weigh them. 49 pounds total, so that makes 47 pounds for the tomatoes. Actually, kind of 49 and a half, so about 21.5 kilograms. When I brought them inside, I weighed these, bush beefsteak. Again, I sorted through them and weighed them, and they came to a total of 20 kilograms, 20.775 kilograms to the nearest gram. There's only 10 plants I planted there. I planted them 2 feet apart. This is 24 feet. So in the end, bush beefsteak gave me the most weight per plant. Compared to the past 5 years, this wasn't a great year for growing tomatoes. So what I'm thinking now is along here, this is 11 feet, but it's 3 feet in and out, so I can zigzag them, putting in 10 bush beefsteak here. This is the portion that gets the warmest. I have 19 feet here. I can put in 10 Berkeley tie-dye, and then the rest with Beaver Lodge slicer. Down by the fence, of course, cucumbers is going to be going along tight to the fence, and then outside of them, I'll be experimenting with different varieties of tomatoes. And whether or not I protect them, I might make a protecting thing for early in the season. But yeah, all my experimenting ones will be going along here. That way I should get enough tomatoes here along by the south wall. And I've got my experiment area here along by the fence. Now the little goal is, we take our chair and go and find what we're going to find elsewhere. When I was doing along here, the wasp from that nest seemed to be getting a little over excited, so I started to just pull the plants out and pick off every tomato. But right here, what was the name of that one again? Anyway, there's a few plants here that I left small tomatoes on, and they have grown since I was here picking them. Got another bucket. That's it from here. Now I'm going to try and pull up those tomato plants, bring them out here, pick the tomatoes off of them. Don't know how easy that's going to be. Now, okay, so these are all the tomatoes. I'm going to put them here so I can get a picture of just the tomatoes from the volunteers that were in the carrot beds. They look like they're mostly lightening up, so they have a good chance of getting ripe sitting on the counter. I'm pretty sure it's at least 2 different varieties. See, I got some that size, but then the other plant wouldn't put on any more than half that size. Not only that, these are elongated, whereas that one is more of an orb shaped sphere. Quite a few. Don't take up much room because they're small, but for something that I just let grow there and basically ignored it all summer, that's pretty good. It ended up being 55.7 kilograms of tomatoes in all. I'm expecting them mostly to get ripe. That 55.7 kilograms, it works out to be about 122 pounds. So that's it for the tomato harvest. Hope you enjoyed it, and hope to see you in the next video.